What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Not Another Damn Podcast. It's your boy Donovan.
This is B.
And so I want you to tell everybody, I know you visited our neighbors up north over the weekend. Nice trip to Canada. Tell everybody about it. How was it?
Man, brother, it was a lot of fun. Was up there for a nice long weekend. Hope all of you out there enjoyed your long weekend as well. And, had a chance to do some things.
See nice things.
Saw some cool sights. And, on top of all the sights I saw, I did see one thing in particular that stuck out with me. And it was an historic event that most people didn't think was possible to happen. Including you.
Did the dinosaurs go extinct?
No. Why don't we take a look back?
I think every game's gonna be a battle and a grind, but I have Bucks and 6.
I'm riding out with my Canadian boys, and I'm riding with the Raps, man. Put it in the front page, back page, middle page, whatever.
Well, before the series started, I said Bucks and 6.
You did.
But the way it's looking, it's gonna look like Bucks and 5 with a gentleman's sweep.
What?
So I got.
What are you talking about?
Bucks winning game 1, 2, and 3.
Bucks now lead it 2-1 as a thriller here tonight.
And Toronto winning 4 somehow.
In convincing fashion, Raptors take 2-0 Toronto.
And then game 5 is over. It's over in 5. It's over in 5. It's over in 5.
9 assists, 7 rebounds. Fred VanVleet on fire.
Let me just say, I'm sticking to my original prediction.
Lowry eluding Bledsoe for the runner and score.
Toronto, they've got a tremendous home court advantage.
Leonard off the double, finds VanVleet for 3.
It's right up there with the most advantageous home arenas in the league. So I do think that sixth man will give him a boost. Raptors
were just 2 games behind the Milwaukee Bucks in the regular season.
Okay, now we can.
Why the did you?
So, as you can clearly see, my partner was wrong.
Man, listen.
I was right all along.
Listen.
I was right all along. Excuse me.
Listen, everyone makes bad predictions.
Yes.
In the midst of everything, my emotions got ahead of me, and I thought with my heart and not my basketball mind. Now, granted, I still think the Bucks should have won that series. And you see, at the beginning of the series, I had Bucks and 6. Bucks and 6. That's not disrespectful to the Raptors. And then after game 2, I said Bucks and 5. I think I would kind of push myself over a little bit. I had
just
too much.
A little bit.
I gave Giannis and Brook Lopez and Eric Bledsoe and Chris Middleton. I gave them a little bit too much. But the way they dominated game 2, I just knew it was over. Like, I knew the series was over. I'm like, there's no way Toronto comes back and wins this series. As you guys saw, the next 4
That's
games.
always my number 2 team. My number 2 team, especially with all the hospitality they showed me up there. Once again, big shout out to Canada. Big shout out to Toronto. Big shout out to all the fans up there, man. I really do hope that y'all can get it done in this NBA Finals. But like I said, before we talk about this very coveted series.
Before you say that, what about the guy you saw? I don't want to speak his name because I don't want to slander people.
Oh,
but
man.
I don't know if you guys
why don't we just show him the clip? Why don't we just show him the clip? We'll show him the clip.
All right, Jamal. Take care, fam. Oh, he just straight up ignored me. Bro, Jokic carried you, bro.
And as you can see, Jamal Murray snubbed me. I asked him for a picture. And, he turned his back on me. Y'all didn't really see that part in the video. I did not have the camera phone out. I saw him standing outside of a hotel while my friend and I were walking up the street ready to hit up a Taco Del Mar for a late night.
I think it's hilarious. Me personally. That's why I don't approach celebrities. I don't approach anyone like.
No one out there even recognized dude. Okay? It was in an abandoned area. No one else was standing out there. I asked him for a picture.
Maybe he thought you were trying to rob him.
It was in an
that's
area
what it is.
where all their fans were drunk and celebrating. And this guy, this joker over here, who's not even good enough, like, bro, you got carried by a fat Serbian guy.
He had a pretty good playoffs. Don't.
Bro, you're not good enough to reject fans. Respect the hierarchy.
Now I don't like what you're doing.
Respect the hierarchy, Jamal
Now you're
Murray.
trying to downplay.
Hey, and when this
what he did in the
podcast makes
playoffs.
it big, when we reach 1 million subscribers, and I don't know when, Jamal Murray, if you ever want to come on this show, I am not welcoming you. You
I will
are
welcome
done,
you,
bro.
Jamal
I am
Murray.
putting the
I
Zaza curse on you.
welcome you.
I put a hex on you, Jamal Murray. You will never win.
This
ever.
guy is real.
But we've got a jam-packed podcast for you all out here today. So before we get into our predictions, our analysis, and yada yada, we got to talk about the roads these two teams took here. Last time we appeared on this podcast for you folks, Game 2 had just ended for the Raps. Raps and Bucks, they were trailing 0-2, and the Blazers and Warriors had completed 3 games.
Yep.
The Blazers
Warriors
were
are up
trailing
3-0.
0-3. So, obviously, the series I think everyone's talking about. Unfortunately, both Don and I were both wrong on that Western Conference pick, but the
Don't show
Eastern
that
Conference pick, I think, is a series that most folks are still talking about even to this day. I feel like more people are still shocked. Most people are still shocked at the result of the Eastern Conference Finals. So, let me ask you, Don. Let me ask you.
Go ahead.
What the buck happened?
Okay, I like you trying to be real punny there, huh?
I talked about the importance of teams dealing with adversity. I said the Bucks all year really, I don't know off the top of my head, but it was pretty much a wire-to-wire year where they were right at the top of the East.
Yep, the whole year.
And granted, we know they hadn't been there before, but they didn't really run into any tough challenges. Milwaukee, this team took a 2-0 lead. The whole country, Stephen A. Smith, everyone, I think probably half of the Toronto Warriors probably said this series is done. Bucks are going on to the NBA Finals where they would have a legitimate chance to beat the Warriors. And then it all came crashing at the seams.
So
What happened?
What happened was, I think the Bucks, to a certain extent, not as much as the Celtics of last year, but they were kind of playing over their head. There were players that were playing beyond their actual capabilities, and once everything started to level out, so those players start to regress and just, play just as good as they were playing in the regular season, outside of really Chris Middleton.
He struggled in the series, though.
Chris Middleton definitely struggled.
Mightily.
That's what I'm saying. Outside of Chris Middleton and Eric Bledsoe.
Did have a really good Game 6, though.
Yeah, but those are two starters that they didn't really. Brook Lopez played pretty good.
You're gonna offer your scheme stuff. That's your specialty. You and I both know this game really well, but I want to touch on what I think the Bucks did wrong as far as matchups.
Right.
And one thing I looked at was the fact that Sterling Brown had his ass parked on the bench the entire series. Virtually, he played only in 3 games, 11 minutes per game on average.
Yep.
Averaged about 2.3 points a game. That's what we're looking at right now, right here from the box score, courtesy of Basketball Reference. Now, I looked at Sterling Brown. This is a guy who took over that starting role when Brogdon went down with that injury late in the season, and he played very well. I'm not saying he was getting you 20 points off the bench, 20 points in that role, but he was a capable perimeter shooter, and he was a very, very good defender. I was really surprised to see the Bucks really just step away from him. Mirotic was a guy I understood because he gives you nothing defensively. And when his shot isn't falling, he's virtually a zero. But I was really shocked that Sterling Brown didn't get any minutes, and I was also really surprised that DJ Wilson didn't really get any minutes. I mean, this was a guy who 6'11", was sort of a backup, one of their backup bigs that they had, who was a very solid contributor all throughout the season. And once again, it was a case of a young guy getting glued to the bench.
Really, what happened to me, like the Bucks' downfall, and it was kind of the opposite of what my strategy would have been.
What our strategy, we both suggested.
Right, like I think them stopping Giannis, and I kind of talked to you about this earlier today off camera, but in basketball, everything is rhythm. It's like any other sport, everything is rhythm. Everything is rhythm. So with Giannis not really being a true point guard or to me, he's not a true playmaker. Like Ben Simmons, the one thing that I like about him, and I don't really like Ben Simmons a lot, but the one thing that I do like is he knows when to pass the ball to his team.
He's got great vision.
He does not over dribble. He doesn't under dribble, although people don't hear that Like under dribbling is, I'm gonna dribble the ball at the top of the key and pass you the ball before you can even get into a position to score. That's under dribbling. That's not setting you up for success. I'm not gonna pass the ball to JJ Redick 35 feet away from the basket. But I digress. He doesn't do either one of those two. With Giannis, a lot of times he was over dribbling and he was penetrating too deep without knowing what his next move was. So he'll get in there, like you said earlier, he'll throw up a shot towards the rim and then bounce off, expecting the foul.
And we'll roll the highlights really quick, but yeah, I mean, you can just look at what happened really after game 2. You can see right here the Raptors just constantly forming a wall right around Giannis every time he attacks the basket, and I think they really exposed his weaknesses. We know Giannis is young. I'm not, gonna sit here and say he's not gonna get better. He is. He's 24. He's, in all likelihood, gonna win the MVP this year. But I think the first 2 series, he was not really challenged. I don't know if Giannis was really ready for the superstar treatment. You remember when LeBron, one thing I thought that made him so special, and if you remember, I said in our previous podcast that I said that this run for Giannis reminded me a little bit, not entirely, but a little bit of LeBron's run in 2009. And I think the difference between LeBron's downfall and Giannis's downfall, because this will be Giannis's first MVP season. 09 was LeBron's first MVP season, both finishing with the best record in the league. So there were a lot of similarities there, both very young players at the time. I think both 24 at the time. Wow, yeah, the similarities keep going.
Yep, Bron came in 03.
But the big difference that I noticed was that LeBron's downfall wasn't really his downfall, it was his team's downfall, because he was still making all the right plays. You watched in that 09 series in the conference finals, he's still, when he's getting doubled, he's kicking it out, he's not forcing up bad shots, whereas Giannis, and you'll see right here, he's missing guys. I mean, there's a play, I can look at game 6, he had, I think, Ersan Ilyasova wide open under the basket, just didn't see him. I don't think it's a case of Giannis being a ball hog, because Giannis is, I think, a team first kind of guy.
Like I said, it's over dribbling.
Yeah, his vision wasn't there, and as you pointed out earlier, I think he was just trying to do too much. I think he felt that the pressure might have made him. Look, I'm not one to get into the psychological games, but was the pressure getting to him a little bit? We don't know.
It definitely could have. A lot of times that does happen, especially with good players. When good players see their team in dire needs, and good players see their team not performing how they were before, they get into this hero ball mode. Okay, let me make the play. Let me be the guy to do this. Let me be the guy to do that.
It's not a matter of being selfish. It's just you want to help your team.
Exactly. You want to help your team so bad that you end up hurting them. Because now you want to be the guy to shoot the shot. Because you might not trust Eric Bledsoe because Toronto was treating Eric Bledsoe how I treat Andre Roberson.
Talk about Bledsoe. Ready for these numbers, man. 6 games.
Bledsoe was. I know what happened.
29. Let me just read the numbers first.
Ahead.
And then you can
I'm going to tell you what happened.
29% from the field. 17% from 3.
Okay. Not bad.
10 points a game.
Terrible.
Well below his regular season and his previous round averages. What went wrong for Eric Bledsoe?
First off, Eric Bledsoe played bad. He shot bad, but so did Nikola Mirotic. I'm not going to let him go off the hook either. Eric Bledsoe really was strictly, to me, mental. It was strictly a mental thing. I think once a few didn't fall for him, he was in his head too much. He was hesitant. He wasn't shooting the rhythm. It was all mental. But what really happened before the game, I don't know if you saw it, before game 1, Kyle Lowry had a basketball and he was holding it. And he had Eric Bledsoe touch it, and he took all his powers.
I spent so much time talking about what went wrong with the Bucks, so it's about time you segued it perfectly to talk about what went right with the Raps. And I think the baby dinosaurs were no longer coming up small. They finally grew. It was no longer the land before time with these guys. It was truly Jurassic Park. And Jurassic Park was live, I might add.
So it's not called LeBronto no more?
No.
No more LeBronto?
Kawaito. No, that doesn't really work.
I hope you don't leave.
So really quick, well, before we move on to the next topic, let's start. We talk a little bit about what went right with the Raps. You obviously touched on simply Kawhi Leonard, and I don't think we really need to talk about it because his numbers, his game.
Oh yeah, no,
it speaks for itself.
He's been there one consistent.
We're here to provide the people with a unique perspective that you might not get from the jokers in the mainstream media. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about what I thought was critical in this series. You talked about Lowry. made so many big shots. I don't think the numbers even totally show how important he was. Being in the crowd for that game 6, there was a point where they were down 15 late in the third, and then down 12 again. And it seemed like every time Lowry was needed to make a big shot, he was there to make it. He made, I think, 2 or 3 just gargantuan threes to help ignite the crowd and ignite the team alike. But I'm not going to say MVP or even MIP, most important player, but I think the most important, I guess the unsung hero we could talk about, be my evil twin, Fred VanVleet. Guy made 4 threes in game 6, made 7 threes in game 5. His shooting after his son was born, just before game 4, completely turned this series. Because game 3, you saw, although the Raps won, man, they had to hold on by the skin of their teeth. It took him double overtime to knock off the Bucks in a game that they needed, that Toronto needed, and the Bucks could easily afford to give away. You know, I know you say you can't afford to give up a game
not
in the
playoffs, but still.
But right, you're up 2-0. You're playing with house money. The Raptors, you've all down 3-0 for all intents and purposes. That series is over. But then once VanVleet finds his shot, each contest, I'm not gonna say it was won with ease, but it was won, not when we're talking about, oh, the Bucks blew it, because game 4 was a blowout. They won that game by, I believe, 18. Game 5, they really controlled the pace in the second half, and VanVleet, I think, had a very significant impact in that game with his shooting. And then game 6, they were trailing for the most part, but Fred VanVleet hitting huge threes. They were up 2 with, I want to say, 7 or 8 minutes left in the fourth, when VanVleet shoots that rainbow 3, one of the most incredible shots I've seen from the angle where I was sitting, drains it, and the crowd just explodes. And from there on out, you just knew Toronto was going to win this game. So that was my take. I thought VanVleet was the unsung hero.
Now,
who's your unsung hero, really quick, for the Raps?
The unsung hero, well, you already took VanVleet, so I'm going to go a different route, and I'm going to say Norman Powell.
I like that pick.
Norman Powell played the Danny Green role for
Danny Green.
For the Raptors. Like, granted, Fred VanVleet shot 57% from 3.
Made 16 threes.
Which is amazing. Like, I can't think of any player that shot that good, shooting at the volume that he shot.
Didn't shoot a single free throw either, which is like,
exactly.
He's just a shooter.
But Norman Powell shot 42% from 3. Like, that's great.
And 46 from
and
the
not
field.
only that, but he also played good defense. He was high energy off the bench. Norman Powell was the player that he was. I don't know if you remember, about 2 years ago is when he first broke out. And then he had a slump year last year. But in the playoffs, I think he's come alive, and he's played a lot of great, solid defense. But another player, 2 players I would like to point out, Marc Gasol and Pascal Siakam. Offensively, terrible.
Pascal wasn't terrible, but he was not good.
A lot of his points were
40%. Yeah,
and that's the thing. Yeah. If I told you that 4 out of 5 of the Toronto starters shot under 45%, and then 3 out of those 4 shot 40% or below, you would have thought they lost that series.
And doing so against the best team record-wise
exactly.
in the league.
And the best defensive team left in the playoffs.
On that series. Now, moving on to the next series. That series would be the Western Conference Finals. Now, the Blazers, the Trailblazers, we might as well take it back to the retro throwback days and call them the Jail Blazers. And that's not because of their attitude, but because of what the Warriors defense did to my good man's Damian Lillard. They had him in jail. Donovan, talk about what the Warriors did defensively to Damian Lillard. How did they neutralize him?
All right, so the way they defended Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum was outstanding. Like, as a coach, if you watch if you're a coach for basketball, if you have a passion for basketball, watch the way Steve Kerr, and I don't know if he wrote the defensive plan, but he's the head coach. Watch the way Steve Kerr drew up the plan, and watch Draymond Green on the floor. Draymond Green was their middle linebacker for their defense. He was directing guys where to go, where not to be. And the double teams were great. As the game got on, first they were just blitzing the screen. Well, first they were just hard hedging on the screens. So, which means that whoever guy is setting the screen, what he would do if his man setting the screen, he's gonna hedge out hard on it, so Dame can't turn the corner, and then he'll get back on defense to stop the roll as the help man on the 2 passes away. he'll slide over to stop the initial roll man and then have enough time for this guy to get back. It's kind of hard to explain because it's not in front of me. But then as the games went on, they started to double team him more and more and more. And the double team started to go off further and further and further. It was at one point where they were getting double teamed literally at half court. Like Dame and CJ were getting double teamed at half court. I think Dame had a turnover at the end of the game, in the game 3 at half court. But the way their defensive game plan against Dame and CJ they were great.
And before we can even think about the Warriors' chances, the other player that comes to mind, Draymond Green.
He was just going out there playing hard-nosed, tough basketball. He was everywhere on the defensive end of the court. Like I mentioned earlier, he was their defensive anchor. He was their Ray Lewis. He was their middle linebacker. He was controlling everything.
He got away with murder?
Shit, damn near. That's exactly what happened. Shit, they all should be locked up the way they was robbing Dame and CJ.
And was Draymond Green also calling out black players for kneeling during the anthem?
I don't know if he went that far. He was Ray Lewis pre-retirement.
Okay, all right, good.
But
pre-murder, pre-retirement.
Yeah, pre-retirement.
So he was like a decent person.
All right. But no, Draymond Green was amazing. Like his offensive and defensive game,
leadership.
Now Draymond Green, that's one thing. He's always had his defensive edge. Like he gets his hand in there on balls. He's and it's crazy because he's not the most athletic guy, but he's very swift on his feet. He knows angles.
Undersized too.
That's the thing with Draymond. He knows angles. Like Ben Wallace. Ben Wallace was undersized, but he was uber athletic. He was very strong. He was ripped.
Nose for the ball.
Like he was checking Sheck. But Draymond Green, when you look at him, you don't see a physically imposing player.
He's about 6'6", 6'7". He's a big guy.
He's a big guy, but he isn't like a ripped guy. And
he's not super tall.
I think his defensive IQ, a lot of people talking about, like, when people talk about basketball IQ, a lot of times they're talking about them on the offensive end of the floor.
Hockey assist, making the right play, setting the right screen.
His
you never really think about it from a defensive
IQ
side.
is probably the best I've seen of any player in probably the last 10 years. The way he plays angles, the way he knows when to double, the way he gets his hands on everything, the way he knows players' tendencies, where they want to go left or right, the moves they're going to do. I haven't seen another player. It's like he really sits down and studies films on individual guys and knows how to. And he literally knows how to beat them and how not to let them beat you. And then offensively, you can't ask for much more than 16 points a game, 11 rebounds, and 8 assists.
Why are you rounding down on me, bro? I just said 17, 12, and 9. I'm rounding up. You round down. That's how we do things.
My bad. Look.
Come on, so black guy, you gotta round down his numbers.
Yeah, you know, I just grabbed the first number. Now, granted, he only shot 25% from 3, but you don't really expect him to be a prolific 3-point shooter. But
if Draymond Green shoots threes, they won't lose. They won't lose another game.
If Draymond shoots 30% from the 3-point line, yeah, I don't see a team beating them.
So that, I guess, brings us to the moment everyone's been waiting for. We are set for the 2019 NBA Finals. It is kicking off in just a few short hours from Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Right now, as we are taking a look at the Vegas lines, we've got Toronto actually as a 1-point favorite at home, although it has been teetering between a 1-point favorite and an even line. Now, for the series,
so it's a pick 'em almost. What's a pick 'em?
For the series, Golden State, overwhelming, prohibitive favorites. They are given a -280. And for those of you who don't understand gambling, don't understand lines, don't understand all this terminology, I'll be honest, I don't understand it all that well either. I don't gamble. However, let me just quickly explain. That means that you would need to put down $280 on Golden State in order to win $100 profit. Now, in the case of the Raptors, they are given a +230, which would mean if you put $100 on the Raptors, you would be getting back $230 should they pull the upset. Now, really quickly, let's get right to it. Who's the X factor in this series for the underdog Toronto Raptors?
The X factor is going to be Kyle Lowry. He's going to have to. His production is going to have to mirror his production that he played against Milwaukee. He's going to have to mirror that same level of intensity, that same shooting, that same defense that he was playing. If Kyle Lowry doesn't have a good series, they don't win this series. Unless somehow Van Vliet turns into just the super backup, and he's averaging 18 points a game and 7 assists. But Kyle Lowry is the X factor because Kawhi has been consistent all playoffs long, all year really. When he's been playing, he's been consistent. Kyle Lowry is their X factor because they're going to need probably at least one 30-point game out of him.
Who's the X factor for the Warriors?
I know my X factor is going to be Klay Thompson. I think if Klay gets hot, we've all seen. I don't think the Warriors have lost a game where Klay has gotten hot. Yeah. I've seen games where Steph has gotten hot and they've lost. I've seen games where Draymond might have scored 25 and they lost, which is hot for him. I've seen games where KD has gotten hot and they've lost. Now, granted, KD isn't playing game one, but when Klay gets hot, it's like he drives. He's that extra boost. It's like hitting turbo on a car. Like, that's exactly what happened. When Klay gets hot, it's like the rest of the team feeds off that. And I don't know how old everyone is exactly, their ages, but it's like Klay's almost like, I don't want to disrespect this man, but he's almost like the little brother. When players see him going off, they get excited, they get happy. When Steph does it, it's like, okay, Steph does this all the time. Like, he's crossing people over, crossover PJ Tucker, hit a nasty leaning three. It just happens. But when Klay is going off, if you look at the bench, when Klay is going off, it's like everyone gets like a boost of energy. Everyone from Quinn Cook, Sean Livingston, Iguodala, Steve Kerr, Steph Curry, everyone gets a boost of energy. So I think Klay Thompson is probably the biggest X factor for the Warriors.
And so that brings us to our next part of the segment. Mm-hmm. Who wins this series? Why do they win this series? And in how many games?
Okay.
Donovan, I'll ask you first.
My heart is telling one thing. But my brain, this thing up here, my noggin, my head is pretty big, it's saying another. And I'm going to go with my brain on this one. I got Warriors in 6. I think it's going to be a really, really, really tough series. Me personally, what I think is going to happen, I think Boogie's going to come back in game 3. And I think he's going to... It's not going to really mess up the Warriors' game plan because they can work him back in. But I think he's going to completely screw He's going to completely screw up the Raptors' defensive strategy. But at the end of the day, even without Boogie, I think the offensive barrage that they're going to get from Steph, unless you put Kawhi on them, it's going to be too much for Kyle Lowry to handle. I think I read a stat, Steph's like 15-2 against the Raptors, averaging like 34 points a game, something like that.
The Raptors did sweep the season series.
Yeah, that was the 2 games. That was the only 2 games he's ever lost to the Raptors. So, I got Warriors in 6. I don't think the Rockets will be able to stop. The Raptors will be able to stop Steph and Klay. And I think Draymond's going to be a pest on defense. I think Kyle Lowry is going to revert a little bit back to his old ways. Now, granted, I don't think he's going to do a complete 180, but I think it'll be like a 80. Like, he's going to get there like 80 out of the 180. So, I don't think Kyle Lowry's going to give you as good as the series he gave you last series, and I don't think Van Vliet's going to give you as good as the series as he gave you last series, because as you can see, the Warriors are a very, very, very well coached team. They're a very disciplined team. They're a veteran-laden team.
Ask me, who's going to win the series?
The West. So who do you think is going to win it all?
I'll tell you who's going to win the series.
There we go. First off, why you got that 6X shirt?
It's the ones they gave us on the chairs.
Who the hell they got? I didn't even know they had fat people in Toronto. That motherfucker too big.
Fat shaming though?
I ain't fat shaming you.
That's
You know why they got those shirts that damn big? So when they lose and they fans eat all that damn Tim Hortons, they'll fill it out. That's why they got the shirt so damn big.
Ain't gonna be they gonna be eating some Tim Hortons.
Let me see the tag on that.
I think it's a 2X.
Hell no, it ain't no 2X. What type of 2 is that? You couldn't fit this if we both got in the shirt. It's an extra large. God damn.
I don't know. They got the metric system up there, so maybe it's a different.
Let me put this on while you.
Yeah, you might as well put it on because you should switch sides right now while you still can, because the Toronto Raptors, ladies and gentlemen, are winning this series, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why.
Go ahead, tell them why. I was just flexing.
I'm going to tell you Kawhi, because Kawhi Leonard is going to dominate this series with no Kevin Durant on the other side to contain him on either side of the ball. Kawhi is gonna let loose. I see him averaging 35 a game in this series, and I think the Raptors are going to use him similarly to the way they use him defensively in the Milwaukee series. Use him as a bit of a roamer. I don't think you stick him on one guy. I think you kind of use him in a way that the Warriors like to use Draymond Green. Not as an individual defender, but a team defender. I think he's going to be switching off from time to time. I wouldn't like the idea of putting him on Curry or Clay for the entire game, because you don't want him getting tired out, running around chasing those guys off screens all throughout the game. I see him rotating time to time. If Iggy's getting major minutes, you might see him on him. Time to time on Draymond. Time to time on Steph. Time to time on Clay. And I think you're going to see him playing a lot of center field. And for those of you who don't know what the center field means, it basically means you're playing the roamer. You're sort of like the zone guy defensively, while everyone else might be matched up otherwise. So I also think that we're going to see some big play from Pascal. I think he's going to be ready to rise up for the moment. Had a very quiet conference finals, only averaging 15 a game. And I don't think the Warriors have the length to really bother him as the Bucks did with all those 6'10 and 6'11 guys with long arms, forcing him out on the perimeter where he didn't think so, where he didn't look totally comfortable at times. Pascal didn't, especially at that game 6. The fans, we could see him up close, passing up a lot of open jumpers and then trying to drive the ball. Sort of a recipe for disaster. So I don't think they're going to be able to pack the paint the way the Bucks were able to with their length and with their size. But obviously it's not going to be easy. But I am going to go ahead and say that I'm picking the Raptors in 7. Picking the Raptors in 7, man. I think Canada is going to be lit. I think Drake is going to be showing up. And I think the good luck charm, my guy, Nav Bhatia. For those of you who don't know who that is the Toronto Raptors super fan. Met him, got a picture with him. Way nicer of a human being than Jamal Murray. This guy has not missed a single Raptors game ever. Did you know that? Since the franchise started, he's been at every single game. Every single game. He's never missed a game. He's never even left the game early, and he's never left the game late.
Did he go to the game and like Mike? Toronto Raptors plays the LA Knights.
I bet he was there.
He was there.
He was cheering him on.
There. But no, it's funny that you say that, and I don't
Kawhi
think
Leonard will win the series MVP.
I think Siakam gets shut down if you think about it, because I think the Warriors have much better individual defenders than the Bucks do. So you got Looney, you got Jordan Bell, and then you got Draymond. Those are the 3 players that possibly check him, maybe Iguodala. So which one of those players do you think is going to be like, oh, okay, I can take this guy off the dribble. I don't have to shoot this 3.
It doesn't matter, because Toronto is finna be rocking the Scotiabank Arena. The roof is gonna be ready to blow. The top is gonna be blowing off from jump ball. And let me tell you something else, folks.
Game 1.
This is
score 40 points.
This is uncharted territory for the Warriors. They have never,
40,
opened up an NBA Finals on the road. This will be the first time. This is going to be a new experience for them. Mm-hmm. I think rust over rest will prevail, and by that I mean the fact that they've had so many days off. Their intensity will sort of elude them a little bit, I think, in Game 1. It's going to take them some time to get it back. I see them losing both games in Toronto. I think they're going to come home and sweep that home. Raptors come back, win a Game 6, and then win a Game 7 to cap it all. Oh, I'm sorry. We got the 2-2-1-1-1 series. I keep on forgetting that. So I guess I'm going to have to switch that up a little bit. I think that both teams will win all of its home games. Both teams will win all of their home games, with Toronto winning in 7. That's my prediction. I'm sticking to it. I think that they're riding the magic wave right now. As Nav Bhatia, Raptors superfan, said, the second Kawhi Leonard's insane jump shot dropped through the net after bouncing off the rim 19 times against the Sixers over the outstretched arm of one Joel Embiid. Mm-hmm. God is on their side. God is on their side. And it is fate. It is destiny. This will be the final. We have seen Kevin Durant's final game with the Golden State Warriors, because I don't think he's returning for this series, and I do think he will leave in free agency because he's going to want to go start a new chapter in his book or whatever the hell it was that he did. I believe that the Toronto Raptors will win this series, and there's going to be a change in the guard.
See,
That's my prediction, and I'm sticking to it.
And I like that. And I want to say this one last thing before we sign off. You're dumb. Never bet against the Warriors. I don't, but no, that's not my last prediction. But about you saying the rest over rust or the rust over rest or whatever the hell that phrase you said, I actually liked it. But you gotta think about this. The Warriors are used to this. Take this shit down. The Raptors are in uncharted territory. They have 2 players that's played in the finals. Kawhi and Danny
Finals
Green.
MVP though.
Yeah. Kawhi
and the Warriors are without
Green.
their Finals MVP of the past 2 seasons.
Nope.
Kevin Durant.
They got Iggy.
He ain't won it in 4 years. He won it when
Stiggy
Iggy Iguodala the Lizard. He
But no,
only
I
won the
don't think
MVP of that series because Kyrie and Kevin Love were out. Cavs win that series with a healthy team. So they don't have any Finals MVPs on the court right now.
They don't need it. They got arguably the best player on the court in Steph Curry. You can debate between Steph and Kawhi. They got arguably the best player on the
I
court.
don't want to hear it.
And like I said, we're gonna see how it goes. When you lose it, you know what? Let's make a bet. What do you want to bet? What do you want to bet?
I'm Muslim, so you know I don't bet in currency, but
Yeah, we can bet something else.
how about this? When the Raptors win that Game 7, you have to pour a gallon of Canadian maple syrup on your head.
Okay, deal.
You'll actually do it?
Deal.
Because we got some. We brought some vintage
Okay.
Canadian
How
syrup.
about this though? When the Warriors win,
I don't like where this is going.
games, it's not nothing crazy. You have to shave your beard.
Hell no. No, can't
Are you
do
that
it.
confident?
No, I'm confident. I'm confident. But never to that point. No, I can't do it. Nope. You better come with something else. Nope. Can't even do it. Can't do it. Nope.
Oh man.
Nope. You better come up with something else.
Oh,
I'll walk across the
man.
street butt naked before I shave this beard. Nope. It ain't happening.
See guys, I'm willing to take any bet because I know the Warriors are gonna win. I'll
confident, but I'm
I'll
not
shave
that
this little.
I ain't
You
been
ain't
without the
shave-
beard since I was like 19, bro. You gonna make
Well,
me...
if the Raptors gonna win, you're not gonna be without it.
Nah, you never know. Something
scared?
might go wrong. Kawhi might get injured.
Okay.
Maybe the Warriors sign Zaza to a 10-day contract. He come out
Okay, like
injured.
this, I'll put a
Kawhi.
stipulation in the contract. If Kawhi or anyone on the Warriors or on the Raptors get injured, deal is null and void.
Anyone
It has
gets
to be
injured. So even if
not
it's even
anyone.
if it's
Nick Nurse.
Eric Moreland gets injured.
Nick
who's
Nurse gets
played
injured
like
on
a
the
minute.
sideline. No, if anyone
What if
of
Drake
prominence,
gets injured and he can't show up for one of the games? to cheer
anyone
on
of
the
prominence
champions?
gets injured, we can cancel the deal.
I don't know, bro. Bro, you said shave the beard, dog. That's like snatching my soul from me. This beard
Bro,
is me.
first off, you grow back a beard in like 2 days.
That's,
Hairy ass.
that's 2
So,
days. That's 2 days where I have to wear a bandana around my face.
You don't
I'ma
go
be
outside
crippin'.
anyway.
I'ma
Just
be
stay in the
crippin'.
crib. So you want to take that bet?
You better come up with something else. You better come up with an alternative, bro.
Okay, how about this? The Warriors win.
I'll eat chicken curry for a week straight.
We gotta buy a pair of Currys and wear them during every podcast we do for the next 2 months. Just during the podcast. Or a Warriors jersey, either one of the two.
All right, I'll do the Warriors jersey because I hate the Warriors.
So
I don't hate Curry.
Warriors jersey, it gotta be Durant though.
Ooh,
It gotta be Durant. It gotta be a player you don't like.
that used to be my favorite player.
And you gotta wear it for a whole
That
month.
used to be my favorite
No,
player.
I know. He was in OKC.
Okay, all right, fine. And you gotta wear my Vince Carter jersey.
Whoa, which one is it? Is it Vince Carter or is it maple syrup on my head?
All right. Oh, so all right, fine. How about this? We'll add in 2 bets.
Okay.
So the jersey bet is on for both of us. You'll have to wear my vintage Vince Carter jersey.
Okay.
I have to wear the Kevin Durant jersey. Come up with something else other than shaving the beard. That is not gonna happen. I don't care what. No, it's not gonna happen. You better come up with something
Make
else.
this guy. All right, please. Let me see. What
Canadian maple
give me
syrup.
another
That's some
bet.
good syrup.
Oh, you gotta do the cinnamon challenge.
Oh my god.
Take
All right, fine.
deal.
Deal. I'd rather do the cinnamon
You gotta
challenge.
see this, right?
I will risk choking before I shave my beard. No, my beard is me. You take away the beard, it's like I don't have an identity anymore. I'm just another guy.
Well, that's
I'm not
gonna be
I'm
after
not
the series.
I'm not a world famous
You're hungry
podcaster.
and start eating, you can fit in that damn shirt after a while. Maybe 2 of you, 2.5. Look at this
Wow.
shit.
It's gonna be a while till I can fit in this. You should
at
have
this.
seen me at the
I
game
can
when I was
stretch
wearing
it from
it.
the-
I felt like a dress.
Grab it. Okay, straight. I can use that as a cover.
Better hold it up, man, because everyone's gonna be saying it. We the North. We the North. That's right.
First off, it's not even grammatically correct, but I'm not going to get on that.
Hey. It's AAVE, my brother. Show some respect.
Yeah, what does that stand for?
African American Vernacular English.
Yeah. We the North. That's Toronto. Toronto is not African American.
CAVE.
That's Canada, my brother.
Canadian American. Oh, what? African. Oh, damn, I fucked
exactly.
it up. AC.
Exactly.
No. Yeah, Afro-Canadian Vernacular English. Ebonics, goddamn.
No, I might want to hear that shit. But all right, everybody, this is another episode, not another damn podcast. It's your boy Don signing out.
This is B coming at you again. As you know, we are your source for everything sports, entertainment, and all things news related. We want to thank you all so much for tuning in to our second visual podcast, our third overall podcast again. Anyone who's interested in collabing, anyone who wants us to, sponsor your product, anything like that, we are open. We are.
See this table? We got a bunch of room. We can hang shirts from here
for you right here, man. We got some clothes. Hey, if you want to take your weak ass rap career and try to get that, try to jumpstart that.
Come do our intro for us.
Come make our intro for us. We will give you that opportunity. What else is there we gotta add? Is there anything of importance that the people must know?
Follow our Instagram page. It's now up and running. We will be posting more videos, probably clips from our podcast, just in case. A lot of you guys are on the run. We'll be posting individual videos as well.
Glad you brought that up.
Throughout the day. Our Instagram page is Not Another Damn Podcast.
Can't forget it. How can you forget that? There's no excuse for forgetting that.
That's all it is. No underscores or anything. So that is up and running now as of today.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And the final thing, if you got any ideas, any topics, even questions that you just want us to answer during our next podcast, whether it's about our goofy personal lives, sports related, any topics you want us to touch on, our social media is the route to go in order to accomplish that. We will be monitoring that very closely. We'll probably get back to you within 5 seconds because we got nothing else better to do.
Nothing else.
Our time. So go ahead and write us up on there, man. Again, we want to thank each and every one of you for supporting this movement, man. We're hoping to take this somewhere, and we hope to take each and every one of you along with us. So once again, I'm B.
Donovan.
And thank you for tuning in to
Not Another Damn Podcast.
We out.